Hey guys, I think we're live now. This is my first time doing this, so I'm just figuring it out. And we've all been trying to come to you from our different countries to let you know what life is like in our countries right now. I'm in Panama City, Panama, and we've got some questions that you guys have sent in to us. So let me see if I can just prop this up here, and I can go through the list of questions, and hopefully I'll be able to see if you post another question right now. The first one is just kind of how is daily life and how are you passing the time. We're now down to a 2-hour allowance out every day. Panama is taking it really seriously, and they just want to make sure that they don't overwhelm. We have excellent hospitals throughout the country, but the government's trying to make sure we don't overwhelm them. You guys have heard all this before because I'm sure you're hearing this from your own governments wherever you are as well. But what we did, and I thought they did it, I thought it was really good the way they did it because there was a rollout and they knew that they had to, continue to sort of give us some time to get used to the idea and then continue to scale up their efforts. So I guess it all started the day after we had our first case. They announced right away that schools would be closed in the Panama Province where the first case was found, which is where I am, where Panama City is. So they first announced that schools would be closed in this region for 4 weeks. So we all thought that was good, and they asked everybody who can just to work from home, and public transportation and shops and everything were still open at that point. Then after a couple days, not too long, they rolled it out to all the schools across the country. So they closed all those schools. Bars and restaurants were then asked to do delivery and takeout only. So I can still order pizza or anything really, Indian food, Chinese food, whatever. So we can do delivery and takeout. Then the malls were still open at that point, but not long after that they asked most shops to close. So it's really only whatever is deemed essential that continues working. Of course, our farmers are still working, very grateful for them. And our supermarkets, very grateful for all of the people working at the supermarkets, all of the delivery personnel, and of course all of our medical personnel here in Panama who have just been fantastic. I can't say enough about the doctors and nurses here, and the level of communication from the scientific community and the medical community. So not too long ago they announced that we would have a curfew, and they asked everybody who didn't have sort of a safe passage that you could get if you're a doctor or a nurse or need to be out. But for the rest of us, regular folk, they asked us to be in by 9 p.m. every day. And so that was the curfew for maybe a week, maybe a little bit less. And then they asked us to start being in by 5 p.m. every day. Stephen, I see you. How are you entertaining yourself as far as the boredom? I'm going to come to that in a second. And then, so for a while, the curfew was 5 p.m. And then they announced that soon we would be down to 2 hours. And what they did was we all have IDs or cédulas, and even if you're a foreigner living here, once you become a resident, you get your cédula. So they said, look at the last number on your cédula number, and that will determine, and they published a chart that would determine what our 2-hour window was to be out. So mine ends in the digit 8. So 8 a.m. is my time, but I'm allowed a half hour. I'm allowed an hour from 8 to 9, but then they said you have a half hour before and a half hour after. So I've got 7:30 to 9:30 every day, and only for essential stuff. I have to be on my way to the supermarket or on my way to a clinic or the drugstore. I cannot just be wandering around. Obviously people are being allowed to walk their dogs and take out the trash and all of that stuff, but they're just asking us to just really minimize our physical contact with other people for now. So coming to your Rahul, I'm in Panama City. So Stephen, your question, how am I entertaining myself? I think I'm lucky because I've been working out of my home for 11 years, y'all. So I'm a little bit accustomed to being home and how that can be isolating. And the first few years were hard, but then I learned that I had to, hey Jordan in LA, I learned that I had to make sure that I got some sun and exercise every day. If not, you can just sink into a depression or just, become listless and start doing things that aren't great for you and for your body, like eating more and sitting around and watching TV more. So what have I been doing? I try to keep a routine. I wake up every day and check my email, and I allow myself a little social time, just little chat messages with friends, and we usually set up a video call happy hour for later on in the day where we'll all hop on. House Party. I don't know if you guys have heard of this app. I hadn't heard of it before. I think it was more of a teenager thing, but now us grown-ups are catching on. And so you can have up to 8 people on. It's a free app that you just download to your smartphone, and it's worked great. So we've been able to get together the way we always have, do our book club, and I have a friend who's in choir. They do their choir practices. So I have that to look forward to every day later in the day. I try to take at least 2 15-minute breaks to just stand at my gate and get some sun. I'm so grateful that we get so much sunshine here. That's really important to me. It's not a bother for some people, but I need that light and sunshine. So I'll stop, I'll set my timer and stop and go out and just stand there at my gate and watch the birds in the tree across from my house and just breathe the fresh air and let the sun soak in, and then come back in and work a little bit, and then I'll do it again before the sun starts to get too low in the sky. So usually 5:30. It's really hot. It's been really hot, but I don't mind. Now I'm just let me just go out and stand in the sun, which I used to go walking really early or really late so that it was cooler, but now I don't mind. Rahul, using House Party too. Yeah, these apps are great. Can you guys imagine 20 years ago, going through what we're going through now, but no internet, no apps, no way to video call all of our loved ones? And remember how expensive long distance calling used to be? Oh my God, I'd be spending so much money right now. So the other question, let me see, how is your community working together? That's a really good one. Lots of wonderful instances. Situations like this bring out the best in a lot of people. So we've seen, this is gonna wow you, insurance companies here. My insurance company, my Panamanian insurance company, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Panama, run by Internacional de Seguros, their fine print says that they don't cover illnesses in the case of something that gets declared a national epidemic, and they announced that if this is declared a national epidemic, they're still gonna cover up to whatever your policy covers, which is shocking because I don't think that would have happened in a lot of countries, definitely not. And I just don't see people doing that in the States. If you know of any examples to the contrary, let me know. But and we've had, people doing free deliveries and people in the scientific community trying to help out as, working extra hours as best they can. There was an initiative to, people hang out Panamanian flags in November because that's the Mes de la Patria, or the month with most of our holidays, including our Independence Day. And there was a movement for everybody to dust off those flags and hang them out now, just as a sign of solidarity that we're all in this together and working together and pulling together. So it's kind of nice when I do drive to the supermarket to see those flags up. I found one that I used to take with me to seminars, and I hung it up on our gate as well. Can you go to the shops? Yeah, I can go to the supermarket and to the pharmacy, and no food shortages. I mean, at the end of the day, this is about, it's about not overwhelming the hospitals, and Panama grows an abundance of fruit and vegetables, so I haven't experienced any shortages. We did have those toilet paper runs where people cleared off the shelves of toilet paper and the Purell and alcohol, but it was soon restocked. So by the time I went to the supermarket, I didn't have any trouble getting any of that stuff. The next question we have is public transportation still running? It is. Because we have the curfew, the metro's stopping a little bit earlier, but no, you can still get around, which is good, because some people Obviously, we still have a lot of people, medical personnel, that need to get around. Schools are all being taught online, which is great. And I think maybe they're talking about whether they sort of alter the school year so that maybe the kids have some vacation time now instead of having such limited school hours. And then once this is over, they can start regular school again. Is Panama prepared for coronavirus and for healthcare? Yeah, you know, the United Nations just recently published a communique where they said that Panama was the country, the example to follow in the Central American region. So we're testing more people per day than any other country in the region, which is why we've identified more cases. And we were the first country in the region to sequence the virus, so we're working with specialists from China and from other countries to, you know, gather that information as quickly as possible and see what version we have, whether it's the same one that they had in places like Italy. There have been, as I understand it, some different versions. So I'm feeling really safe here. I'm feeling very fortunate. If I had to be quarantined somewhere, to be here, despite the stringent measures and only being out 2 hours a day. So far so good, guys. They're following one of the examples from China, which was to quickly, within a month, build a temporary hospital only to deal with coronavirus cases. So that's happening now as well. Any return to normality? Not yet, I'm afraid. In fact, when they announced the 2-hour thing, they also announced it's very common in countries like Panama for the first thing they do to be what they call ley seca, which is to bar the sale of alcohol. And I don't know how long that's going to go on, and maybe it's not a big deal to some of you, but for me, that's maybe the only difficulty. I haven't run out yet, but I know I'm not going to be able to buy wine when I do run out. So that's probably the only thing that's really stressing me out right now. The rest of it, I'm happy to deal with, and I'm happy to comply. And I am really grateful for everything that the government and the police are doing. They're working so hard. How are you communicating with people is another question that had been sent in earlier. Yeah, Facebook, WhatsApp. Zoom is great if you have just a free account. It's an app that you can have on your laptop and on your smartphone, but they kick you off after. You can do up to 3 people with a free account, and if you have a free account, they kick you off after 40 minutes, but you can log right back in and continue your conversation. And I found the connection to be really good. It works really well, so if you're trying house party and that connection isn't good, I think it depends on how many people are using the service at a time, then maybe try Zoom. Anything else? Any other questions coming up? Well, I guess those are all of the questions that you guys have for now. You know, I hope wherever you are that you're doing okay. I would love to hear where you are and what you're doing to stave off boredom. I work out in my little living room. I was taking walks around my neighborhood when that was still allowed. Now I'm just working out in my living room, and yeah, I still get, you know, sunshine, and I can see the birds and the trees outside. So you remember when you were a teenager and you went to dance parties and you would dance in a little square, whatever space you could find on the dance floor. So you don't need a lot of space to do that. So, you know, every evening I pull out my little weights and put on some great music or cringe-worthy music, you know, guilty pleasure dance list, and just get some exercise, and that always makes me feel a little bit better. I've also, for some reason, been eating really healthy, which is not what I expected. I thought I was going to be going for the potato chips and, you know, carbs, and more carbs, but when I went to the supermarket, I was like, I'm going to buy a lot of fruit and vegetables, and that's what I've been eating, a lot of fruit and vegetables, and just kind of taking this time. If I can't go out to dinner with my friends and eat risotto and drink a bottle of wine, then I'm just eating my healthy veggies. So I think we've covered pretty much everything. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to log off for now, but we'll try and do some of these Facebook Live things again soon, regularly. Let us know what you thought. This is my first time, so be kind, please. Let us know what you thought, what else you'd like me to cover, and we'll try and do that next time. Take care, be well wherever you are, and comment. Let us know where you are and what you're doing. All right, bye.